Hello and welcome back. I'm Loralee Humpherys with Faces of Freedom. So I welcome you to this next video in the series about all the toxic and harmful chemicals in your products that make you ill. So we've got a few more to go over, and then I'll be introducing you to some alternatives and things that you can use instead of things with all of these toxic ingredients in them. All right. So if you'd like to take out a pen and paper, if you'd like, take some notes, and let's just dive into this list of chemicals and things for this video. And so you can see where they're at and make other choices. All right. Okay, so today's first chemical, this is a long one. So hopefully I can pronounce it in a way that you can get it as well as its acronym, and I'll also spell it. And its acronym is PERC, P-E-R-C, and it's perchloroethylene. I didn't kill that one too bad. So this is one that is a chemical found in dry cleaning solutions, in spot removers, and carpet and upholstery cleaners. So whenever you get your clothes back from the dry cleaner and you have that dry cleaner smell that you breathe for a while, this is the chemical that it is. As well as when you have your carpets or your upholstery shampooed, and after a while you just kind of still smell that kind of soapy, icky cleaning smell, then it's this chemical. Okay, so let me tell you about this. PERC is a neurotoxin. Damages your nervous system, of which your brain is an essential part of your nervous system. So let's not do that. Okay, so it is also a possible carcinogen. And so people who reside in residential buildings or near dry cleaners where they're in and around, or even possibly work in a dry cleaner business where they're in and around this chemical all the time and have high exposure to it, then they have experienced dizziness, loss of coordination, and other related things. Again, it's a neurotoxin. It damages your nerves. And the EPA has requested that the use of PERC machines in residential buildings be phased out by the year 2020. The state of California has taken measures or wants to eliminate that completely by the year 2023. So we'll see what happens by then. The route of exposure is often through inhalation, so as off gases, the chemicals of this and these fumes off gas, then you breathe them in. And curtains, drapes, and clothes that are labeled dry clean only are where you would are the most susceptible. However, there's an alternative to the chemical dry cleaning solutions, so you don't have to expose yourself to this toxin, and they are known as wet cleaners. So ask your dry cleaner if they use that process instead of the dry chemical cleaners. It's based on a water-based technology instead of the chemicals, and the EPA has recognized that the carbon dioxide liquid, this process, wet cleaner process, is more environmentally preferable, so it doesn't create environmental damage and build up over time either. So again, look for non-toxic wet solution cleaners for your carpet, your upholstery, for your spot cleaners, and even your dry cleaners. You can also rub undiluted castile soap, which is a coconut oil-based soap, onto the stains before washing them, and that can help get rid of those so you don't have to expose yourself to the harsh, neurotoxic PERC dry cleaning chemicals. All right, so the next chemical for today is sodium hydroxide. And this is something used in oven cleaners and drain openers, which I may have touched on this briefly in one of my other videos about oven cleaners. But sodium hydroxide is one of the main chemicals in that, and it's otherwise known as lye. It's another name for it, Lye. It's extremely corrosive, and if it touches your skin or it gets in your eyes, it's extremely irritating, and it can cause severe burns. So hence, whenever you see on oven cleaners, and there's always that poison or label or that little symbol, or it says to be really careful and cautious not to get in your eyes, because this is such a bad chemical. You get it through skin contact and inhaling the fumes, the smells of it. And when you do inhale a lot of it, then it can cause a sore throat that can last for days. So again, there's healthier choices or other options that you can use to clean your drains, your ovens, to unclog your drains. So just do a little bit of research, and towards the end of this series, then I will also give you some alternatives that you can look into. Okay? All right, so one of the things that you can do, I'll mention right now, for the worst of the oven is to use a baking soda paste. So you just use baking soda, perhaps with vinegar or water. You can drop some essential oils in there and just let it soak for a little bit longer than you would maybe with an oven cleaner. And just scrub away with it. There's also a lot of self-cleaning ovens out there now. So I think the ovens that don't have that are more the older versions, to where you would have to use oven cleaners and these harsh chemicals to clean them with. But if you do have that, then baking soda is a wonderful alternative. And then for drains, what you can also do is, again, use baking soda and vinegar and mix them together, pour it down your drain and let it sit for a bit, and then run some hot water down it to clog and unclog and move the debris through. So even though we've been accustomed to reaching for, name brand things, a lot of popular brands of things for our cleaning needs and self-care needs, we don't have to continue doing or paying for those brands and those products, especially considering now that we understand what's in them and what they do to you. There's many, many other options out there available. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about, there are two different chemicals, and this is also found in your food, not just your cosmetics and hair care or personal care product. And they are known as BHA and BHT. So these are actually very common compounds that I've seen on many, many different labels. So, okay, let me try and pronounce these. Hopefully I won't kill them, but I will also spell them out for you so you can recognize them, in addition to just the acronym of the BHA and BHT. Okay, BHA is butylated, how's that for name? Hydroxyanisole. Butylated, Hydroxyanisole. So that's a nice little chemical for you. And then BHT, this is one I've seen a lot as well. Again, butylated hydroxztoluene, something like that. Okay, butylated, again, BUTYLATED, HYDROXYTOL, UENE. So that's a long name. So what these chemicals are, they're synthetic antioxidants, and they're used as preservatives. So to make things have their longer shelf life so they don't grow mold and get all rancid and disgusting. And where you find these is in your lipsticks and your moisturizers and many, many, many cosmetics and food preservatives. So just go look at the box of crackers or foods, any kind of a processed boxed food. You'll most likely see a BHT on there as one of the food preservatives. So what these two compounds do, they cause allergic reactions. So if this is in your food and you have allergic reactions, then connect one of these possible dots of seeing, well, maybe that's contributing to food allergies as well as skin or respiratory allergies. Okay. It's also, BHA is also a possible human carcinogen, another one. And in Europe, they consider BHA as an endocrine disruptor because they have shown that it interferes with hormone function. Again, we don't want to have our hormones messed up, especially those that govern and regulate our reproduction. Long-term exposure of BHT is very toxic. It has been shown to be toxic in mice and rats, which they use those poor animals to experiment on and then decide that afterwards, well, if it damaged the rats, then it probably damages humans too. So what it does to rats is it causes liver, thyroid, and kidney problems, as well as lung function, and affects blood coagulation in an adverse way, meaning your ability, the blood's ability to clot. So if that's doing that to rats, then most likely it could also be doing it to humans. So we don't want to interfere with our body's ability to form blood clots, especially if we have the tendency to get cuts and scrapes to where we bleed. Whether that bleeding is internally or externally, we want our blood to clot. Okay, BHT can act as a tumor promoter. It encourages the growth of tumors. And if you have a lot of that in your body, and if your body is building and growing cancerous tumors because things got out of whack, and you have BHT in your body, then it's going to encourage the growth of those cancerous tumors. Not good. And BHT can also mimic estrogen, which prevents expression of male sex hormones, resulting in adverse reproductive effects. Not good. And I'll say this again as a reminder, anytime you mimic estrogen or upset or mess with the delicate balance of estrogen production and amounts within the body, then if that goes on for too long, then you set yourself up for estrogenic-based cancers, especially those in the reproductive organs like the ovaries and breasts. Okay, BHA is also known to be toxic to aquatic animals, critters, animals, fish, things that live in waterways. And it accumulates in the environment over time. And it's just, both BHA and BHT are just not very good for you. And BHA, again, is carcinogenic, and so something you want to avoid. So again, read your labels and don't get things that have this in it. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about briefly is, let me check my notes here, so bear with me for a minute. I've talked about that already. Just a minute going through my notes, getting the right page here. There we go. Okay. So this one I'm going to touch on real briefly. I talked a little bit about it before in another video, but I'm going to just kind of recap again. And this is coal tar dyes. And this has a really long name. The common name for it is PHENYLENEDIAMINE. So let's see if I can pronounce this thing. Phenylenediamine. How's that? It's a long word. Okay, and so that's the chemical name for coal tar dyes, and it's what you see them on the label is in the letters capital C and the capital I, followed by 5 digits, 5 numbers. That lets you know that it's coal tar. And they are used, the coal tar is used with natural coloring compounds and inorganic pigments that are used in cosmetics. So anytime you see a number, like for example, the color codex numbers, that's the C and the I, and then you have the numbers like 75,000 or 77,000 behind the letters. So that lets you know that that's coal tar stuff. And they are made from petroleum. And they're also used in, again, food coloring. So anytime you see an F, D, and C, those letters and then the number, like 5 or 7 or whatever, or a D and C and then a number, then that's going to be on your food. That's going to let you know that those fake colors in your food is from coal tar, which comes from petroleum. So do you really want to eat that? Okay. A lot of coal tars is what you'll find in dark colored hair dyes, more so than the lighter colors. And coal tar is a recognized and known human carcinogen. So let's not have it in your food dyes and colorings, in your cosmetics, in your lipstick. Then you're licking it and swallowing the lipstick with the coal tar in it down into your belly. Not good. This is also a compound that can be easily contaminated with heavy metals like aluminum. And we know that aluminum messes with your brain function and contributes to, what is it, Alzheimer's, I think? Yeah, Alzheimer's is aluminum toxicity in the brain. So let's keep your brain functioning well, shall we? Okay, they are also in food additives. They've been linked to cancer or to tumors. And women who used hair dyes for a very, very long period of time because of this compound in it have been at an increased risk for developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or cancer of your lymph system. So let's not create more cancer-causing risk than we have to. All right, so that's coal tar. Let's go on to the next one. And this category of chemicals is called the PEG compounds. Again, it's used in cosmetics quite a bit. And the PEG stands for polyethylene glycols. Again, they're petroleum-based compounds. They're from petrol. Widely used in cosmetics as thickeners, solvents, softeners, and moisture carriers. They also are very commonly found in the cream base that you have in your cosmetics and in the pharmaceuticals as laxatives. So, interesting combination there. So the thing is with these PEG compounds, they are very easily contaminated with 1,4-dioxane. And this is a highly known, highly toxic, and very carcinogenic chemical that I talked about in one of my earlier videos. So when you mix these PEGs in, or when the dioxane gets mixed in with these PEGs, then it brings with it its nasty side effects of being a known carcinogen. So it also will damage your nervous system. There are cosmetics and makeup and skin creams and all kinds of things that you can find or even create yourself where you do not have to have these toxic things and known carcinogens in them to mess with your nervous system and your body. It also shows evidence to interfere with human development. And the 1,4-dioxanes will also remain in the environment too long, for a very long time, to cause damage there. So, even with personal care products that are listed as natural or organic on the label, which pretty much means nothing anymore, seriously, then when they analyzed those things that were even called natural and organic, then they still found a lot of these PEG compounds with the 1,4-dioxane contaminants in them. So don't believe the labels necessarily unless you really know and trust the company that produces those things. Okay, carcinogenic contaminants are found in these PEG compounds, but they also show signs or evidence of being toxic to your genome, meaning they mess with your genes, your DNA. They're toxic to your genetics. And that can cause some serious problems. Skin irritation can happen if it's exposed to the skin or in broken skin. It will cause irritation and is overall systemic toxicity. Okay, so that's the PEGs. Not real good you want to have on your body. Okay, this other one, I touched on this briefly as well in one of my other videos, and I just want to reiterate it again because it's just another nasty one. So this one is called petrolatum, and another name for it is mineral oil or jelly or petroleum jelly. And I talked briefly about mineral oil in one of my other videos, but I just want to touch briefly on this one. So what petrolatum or the mineral oil jelly does, it's a barrier to keep moisture into your body, into your skin. So whenever you have a lot of lotions or oils or things, skin moisturizers, then they use petroleum to keep the moisture in so they don't dry out so quickly. And again, there's other things you can use to do that function instead of petroleum. And it makes your hair shine when it's used in hair care products. Again, there's things that you can do with your diet and overall self-care that people have done for thousands of years to get their hair shiny without having to use petroleum. Because as we know, petroleum has really only been around, been used in the last 120 some odd years, the late 1800s, early 1900s. So think about what did people do before that time to make themselves healthy and pretty and beautiful and get shiny hair. Go back to what they did then. Most likely it was not toxic. Okay, petrolatum, it's again a known carcinogen. It's used everywhere in cosmetics, and it can contribute to skin irritation and allergies. And in Europe, then they've been a little bit more wise and smart than people in the US, and they've started to cut those back and regulate or restrict them because they are known carcinogens. Okay. The next chemical for today is Siloxanes. I think I said that right. I'll spell it for you. Siloxanes. And these are other nasty things, again, found in cosmetics everywhere. So they are silicon-based compounds used in cosmetics. So anytime you have silica, that's just not good in your cosmetics, period. Silicon-based compounds used in cosmetics to soften, smooth, and moisturize. They make hair products dry more quickly so that you can style your hair, and they are in deodorant creams. They make those deodorant creams slide on your skin more easily. And again, deodorant has aluminum in them, plus this, and then you get the pores and your lymph nodes in your armpits loaded up with aluminum and other toxic chemicals like this siloxane, and then you wonder why so many people have breast cancer. Okay, what else do they do? They are also used extensively in moisturizers and facial treatments. They can be found in medical implants, water-repelling windshield coatings, building sealants, and lubricants. So, why would you want to have this stuff on your skin? Seriously. And it's toxic, as I mentioned, and it has the potential, again, to accumulate in the environment, the waterways, and all fish and organisms that live in the water, and damages them. So let's not pollute our world. Okay, this is a known endocrine disruptor. It's also, it's an endocrine disruptor and interferes with human hormone function. Again, not something we want to be messing with. It's also a possible reproductive toxin that impairs and interferes with human fertility. So if your children or younger people are having problems getting pregnant or having fertility issues, just consider their whole lives, including from the time of conception, all the time in the womb, their entire lives, they have been exposed to so many toxic compounds that has been prevalent in our environment, in our food, in our water for 70 years. So you wonder why. I mean, it doesn't really take much of a stretch to connect these dots. If you're conceived and been developed and then born in an environment that's so laden with these toxic chemicals, then is there any wonder why that 2 or 3 generations down now, then problems like this is showing up? I mean, it's not brain science here. Okay, so it impairs human fertility. It also influences neurotransmitters in the nervous system, and it would influence them in a not good way. It contributes to uterine tumors and harmful to the reproductive and immune systems. And again, these compounds have the ability or potential to bioaccumulate. Okay, so one of the other names or things that you'll see in terms of the siloxane, of how it's recognized on labels, is with the letters D4, D5, or D6. Okay, so that's how you can start to identify that stuff. All right, so that's it for this video. Today's little list of nasty things in your makeup that cause problems. So again, I hope you enjoyed this, that you learned from it, found value in this series that I'm sharing and offering for you, and just educating yourself, looking for other options, looking for what is contributing to some of the health problems that you may have, and things that you can do, or products and things that you can avoid and switch out to alleviate some of these problems with your health if you are having to make some major changes because of accumulation of these lovely things in your body are now talking to you in an unhealthy and unpleasant way. All right. So again, thanks for joining me. I'm Loralee Humpherys with Faces of Freedom, helping you to find freedom from toxic things that impair your health and your ability to thrive. All right. So until next time, take care.